What's good, y'all? This your boy Blak G 92. Now, this evening I'm going to do a reaction, not do a reaction, more so continue on with the second part of Refresh Gimmicks that saved careers made by Wrestle with Andy. And come to find, it was like it's going on 10 days ago. And I think when I recorded it was like maybe 8 or 7 days ago. But hey, fuck it, might as well just continue on where I left off. And not to mention, like, tomorrow will be my birthday. We turn 33, so that's the only reason. That's one of the main reasons I'm gonna be active on this YouTube channel. Probably, yeah, it's gonna be not probably, but most definitely tonight, as well as later on tonight. I'm gonna have another reaction video coming in, probably sometime hour before midnight and shit. So I'm gonna be active on this bitch into the weekend because got the 4th of July coming, so I'm gonna record a little bit of content, probably see if I can do a short or some shit and post it on the channel. And I just say, after rewatching the first 3 Jurassic Park movies, I have to say they still hold up. A lot of them still hold up for different reasons, of course. And of course, the one thing that all 3 of them share is the special effects, combination of animatronics and CGI. A lot of it still holds up to this day, especially Jurassic Park 3. You know what I mean? I was just sitting there just watching it, just watching it, like, oh man, it's like it just came out this year, low key. And granted, it was weak on the story wise per se. I feel like it was like more of a streamlined version of the last movie in a sense, without much of the deeper complex issues that was addressed on that movie and such. And it still was a fun ride nonetheless. And of course, Spinosaurus made a great impact on that movie, aside from obviously killing the Rex and being a threat to the people. And of course, I can say it's probably one of the last movies of that franchise that, like, you felt the main characters were were in danger. You know what I mean? Not to say there were moments in the other movies they didn't have those elements, but compared to the other 3, 1 to 3, yeah, it's night and day almost. But that's for another video. I'm going to just get started on this one in about 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
It's back in the early days of the Philly-based promotion when it was still
rewind it real quick.
Character. No, if we look at our next subject, we'll find a very similar story playing itself out. That's right, it's time for us to talk about Tommy Dreamer and his transformation into the innovator of violence. That's right, back in the early days of the Philly-based promotion, when it was still known as Eastern Championship Wrestling, Tommy Dreamer's gimmick was very different. Yes, rather than be portrayed as a hardcore icon here, he was instead very much presented as the pretty boy, white meat babyface type. And while this might have worked out okay for him initially, once things got more extreme as the mid-90s rolled around, that character became very passé for the audience who were watching. How would the Yonkers native combat this? Well, he'd move with the times and decide to give his character a grittier edge, something which happened during his feud with the Sandman, where he was memorably caned across the back multiple times in the middle of the ring after losing a match. That's right, there are a lot of things you can fake in wrestling, but getting whipped repeatedly with a kendo stick is not one of those things.
Oh no.
So with every strike Tommy took here, fans knew it was very real and very painful. And this led to them developing a respect for him that they never had before. Obviously then, once Dreamer had that respect, he was a made man and was able to become one of the faces of ECW going forward. Come on now, if you think about Paul Heyman's Renegade Company today, the innovator of violence is going to be one of the first names you think of. He's easily a part of the Mount Rushmore of that promotion. No, he might never have found the success someone like a Rob Van Dam did in WWE, and he may never have had the longevity of the Dudley Boys, but Tommy Dreamer remains a cornerstone of ECW.
Oh yeah,
and the way he did this was by
that.
knowing when to mix things up and drop the pretty boy gimmick he'd been playing before in favor of something which was a lot more in keeping with the times and a lot more in touch with the audience in attendance. Really, if you look back on ECW today and think of all the crazy men who were a part of that roster, we're talking about people like Sabu, the Sandman, Taz, Raven, and Terry Funk, just to name a few here. It's amazing that Tommy was able to stand out as much as he did, as by all rights he should have been someone who got lost in the shuffle. But then we guess that's the power of a great gimmick refresh. And the innovator of violence wasn't the only one who benefited from this during the 90s. No, for another example of that, allow us to introduce you to our next subject, Brian Pillman, the man who shook the wrestling world to its core when he transformed into the loose cannon. Yes, when it comes to work shoots like the pipe bomb promo, Brian
Hold up, is that? It must be from the channel. It must be from the video. That just threw me off. Hold up, what the hell is going on? But I guess it's from the actual video.
But it wasn't always that way for him.
Weird.
Back in the early 90s, he was very much a white meat babyface character, albeit one who was a very good wrestler and who found plenty of success during his tag team run with a young Steve Austin. But then the mid-90s came around and Pillman figured out something totally new, a character which was going to blur the lines of reality and fiction in a way that no one else had before in the post-kayfabe era. And that character was the loose cannon. The idea here was that at no point would anyone know whether what we were seeing from Brian Pillman was real or fake. And that wasn't just the audience who this applied to either. No, it was his coworkers as well. That's right, even those around him couldn't tell if the Cincinnati...
Yeah, I'm jamming out to this beat, man, while just trying to pay attention to what he's saying about, what's his name? And man, it's a bop, low-key. I don't know what's going on with the volume, but this beat is catchy. Gotta be vibing.
...was working them half of the time. Needless to say then, this was a huge departure from what he'd been doing previously, and it instantly made him one of the most talked about people in the business. After all, who else was going to be able to work Eric Bischoff into giving him a legitimate release as what Eazy-E believed was part of a storyline, only for him to then take that release over to WWF to get a job there instead. And who else was making everyone around him question just what the hell was going on with his famous "I respect you, Booker Man" comment to Kevin Sullivan at Super Brawl 1996? No one, that's who. And this is why Brian Pillman felt like such a game changer at the time. Sure, he would never get to fully realize the character he had because by October of 1997, he'd be dead, but that doesn't mean the legacy of the loose cannon doesn't continue on today. No, whenever you see someone trying to blur that line on TV, as many people have done in the years, you can draw a direct line from what they're doing back to the antics of Brian Pillman back during the mid-90s. Really, if we want to talk about influence,
oh, trendsetter, okay.
One of the more influential figures to hit the wrestling industry in decades.
Oh, okay.
But
I could definitely some of the influences on the more recent.
Too, after changing up his gimmick in the early 90s? Well, let's try to answer that question by looking at him now. Who are we talking about this time? Who else but Shawn Michaels, the man who started off as a rocker and who eventually became the Heartbreak Kid. That's right, Shawn Michaels was doing well for himself for some time during his original gimmick. Hell, as one half of the Rockers alongside Marty Jannetty, he was in one of the more popular tag team acts of his era, the WWF's version of the Rock and Roll Express, if there ever was one. But that original young babyface character was always going to take the Texan so far. And as the early 90s rolled around, he started to realize this, which was why it was then he'd make a big change. What was this big change? Well, the first step involved turning on his partner and throwing him right through the window of Brutus Beefcake's barbershop in an iconic segment which took place in January of 1992. And after that
was when I was born.
Much cooler, heelish version
That's the year that is.
A ladies' man who went by the name of the Heartbreak Kid. Of course, you all know what happened next. HBK was able to take Shawn to levels he would have never reached before, as by the time 1996 came around, he was the WWF champion and the face of the entire company. Sure, he would be forced to enter temporary retirement a couple of years later as a result of a back injury, but in the end, that ended up being a blessing in disguise for the San Antonio native, as it allowed him the time he needed to clean up from his drug addiction. So when he was eventually cleared to return to the ring again in 2002, he was arguably even better than he had been before.
Okay.
Yes, like Daniel Bryan years later, Act 2 of Shawn Michaels' career saw him age like a fine wine. But then, a big part of the reason he was able to have enough longevity to reach this point was because he'd made that transformation into the Heartbreak Kid back in 1992, as it's hard to imagine the rocker version of him being a big deal into the 2000s and beyond.
Oh, yeah.
No, if Marty Jannetty's periodical cameo returns to wrestling have shown us anything, it's that this kind of gimmick has a very definitive shelf life, and that shelf life is one which ended somewhere around December 31st, 1989. So thank God Shawn was smart enough to realize this, as if he weren't still around for the eras which followed, the wrestling world would be a very different place, and that a lot of your favorite performers today would probably have never been inspired to lace up their boots themselves in the first place. Even NXT would be very different in 2025 without HBK there to run it, and that means the future of WWE going forward will look almost unrecognizable.
It definitely will.
Let's not talk about the future of WWE for now, and instead stick with the present, as it's there we find our next entry. A performer who has recently changed up her own gimmick and has found a second lease on life as a result of this. The one, the only, Naomi.
Naomi.
Yes, throughout her time in WWE
Whew.
between 2012 and the present day.
Man, that body, man. Ooh, she got a nice body, nice figure, and I won't mind taking her out to dinner for real.
Naomi has usually been given a character which allows her plenty of TV time. Hell, on multiple occasions she'd even become a champion, twice in a singles capacity as a SmackDown Women's Champion, and twice in a duos capacity as a tag team champion alongside both Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. That said, it's undeniable that as the 2020s rolled around, her character was beginning to wear out its welcome a little. So this was why she wisely decided to mix things up recently by switching to the dark side. How would she do this? Well, by turning on both of her former teammates, Belair and Jade Cargill, with the majority of the Florida native's ire being saved for the latter. And while this could have been a pretty generic heel turn in the hands of a lesser performer, Naomi's promos after the fact were able to make the whole thing feel far more interesting than it could have been. And this has turned her into one of the more talked about acts on the SmackDown roster in 2025.
That's what's
so
up.
Talked about has it made her. In fact, WWE recently pulled the trigger on giving her the Women's Money in the Bank contract. And with this contract now in her possession going forward, it means she's likely going to be a world champion again before long. The only question is, who will she cash in on? Tiffany Stratton or Io Sky? Or will she even surprise us by waiting a little bit longer until Jade Cargill has won one of the belts so that she can take it off of her? Whatever happens, the reality will be the same, and that reality is, with her new heel character, Naomi suddenly feels more refreshed and more relevant than she has in years. Really, at this point, we could see her being a top star in the division all over again heading into the latter half of the decade. Obviously, then it goes without saying that she probably would have never ascended to this spot again had she chosen to play it safe and remain in her old babyface incarnation. But we guess that's just the power a great character refresh can have, as it can make what was old feel new all over again.
That's all there is to it, really. And that goes beyond wrestling. But anyway, that goes beyond wrestling. But yeah, that's just with most of anything in the entertainment world. Yeah, it's all about take something that's old and just making it new again and such, or ditching something that you've been sticking with for, like, say, a good half decade and change to something else to keep people interested. And of course, also got to keep in mind, got to seem genuine to the public eye, otherwise it's gonna come off as forced and try hardish per se. But basically, and on the video, it's very informative on the different wrestlers that have changed up their gimmick to maintain their relevancy within their respective decades and such. And it's cool how Wrestle with Annie tied it in with someone that's current, like Naomi, like how she changed up her image and such to something else, and how it kept her afloat within the women's wrestling division and such. And that's pretty. And I like that though. I like how he just ties it all in from the past wrestlers to the current wrestlers doing their thing in the 2020s. Because what's going to hit for 2025 now hit like the next 5 years, and goddamn, we're almost half a decade. That's crazy. But anyway, let's see what the comments saying. It's like one person is like, "What happened to the audio during the Brian Pillman segment?" I was wondering the same thing. Like, what the fuck happened? I was in there just like boom, boom. It was like the ghost of Brian Pillman showing him messing up the audio, leaving everyone wondering if it's real or not. I was wondering the same thing. That's why I paused. Like, hold up, what the fuck? Me watch the video, me during the Brian Pillman segment. I'll do a little dance too. That's like, now, shit, I can't even get up and do no like routine or anything. Cause man, I got 2 left feet or whatever. I might do this so if I decide to take some dance classes, they ain't gonna see me do my embarrassing attempt at dancing probably sometime later on down the line if I get more subscribers and such. And the channel grows. It goes if I get exclusive. Which probably won't happen, but hey, little idea I just throw out there. So, but if you want to react to more of these little mini documentaries or songs, music videos, countdowns, trailers for upcoming movies, TV shows, whatever the case may be, let me know in the comment section below. And this is your first time watching this reaction video, be sure to hit me up in the social media accounts we post in the description box below, and be sure to hit that like button, hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button as well. This is your boy Blak G 92 about to sign off. Holla at your boy. Peace.